And we are live. Welcome back to Aussies Taking Over the NBA. It is a Sunday night. It is the 24th of January, Australia Day coming up, but we've got a 30 and 60 tonight to talk about. Yeah, how crazy the NBA has been, the restart or the start of the season. There's heaps to talk about. We'll kind of talk about the wider league. We're going to talk about some of the Aussies as well in those teams. But I think it's time for us. I think 2 weeks ago it was crazy. Last week it was like, oh, should we do it? But I think this week is the perfect time. We're in the new year. We're sort of full steam ahead. There's a lot happening in the NBA and a lot happening for the Aussies. So I think it's time to bring us this podcast now. As always, like, share, and subscribe. We are on Spotify, Twitter. We're on YouTube, Podcast Addict, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud. Anywhere you want to try and find us, just find us at Aussies Taking Over the NBA. And let's get into it. 30 and 60, all teams, all action. Awesome. I think we did 30 in, I thought we tried to do 30 and 30, I think, last time on 30 and 45, and it turned into 30 and 60. So I was just like, 30 and 60. Let's do that. Any other wider news before we get into it? Right into it?
No, man, just Philly killing it, which is awesome. Jingling Joe back from injury.
He lost his streak.
He did. Lost the longest active streak in the NBA, so that's no longer held by him. We've had a Thon disappear. We've had
that crazy James Harden trade. We'll get into all of that. That's just nuts. A lot of what's happening in the NBA is nuts at the moment. I think this is the right time. I think there's enough now to kind of go on to kind of plan our flags. We'll also look at where we're sitting at over and under. Our over under predictions. Some of them a bit out there. Some of them, are not looking good, but that's all right. We'll go first team, Detroit. What are you feeling on Detroit?
Detroit is literally the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
I think I said that it's just like I wasn't on the Killian Haynes bandwagon. He's now out injured for the season. You've got two guys that are, probably way past their prime and, coming off heavy injury and injury-laden bodies in Griffin and Rose. I mean, I still like Rose. I still think he's got a really good role in the NBA to play backup point guard or shooting guard in a championship team. But yeah, man, I don't know what Dwayne Casey was thinking paying Plumlee. He is a goob. He's such a goob.
That's a new GM too. I think I'm pretty sure they're going to have a new GM. And it's like I'm making some statements, paying Plumlee, Jeremy Grant just running offense. Like, that's the main scorer. High usage guy. I'm kind of in on that though. Like, I'm like, he's fair play, man. That looks like it's more of a situation of you go into a team and they just go, you want the keys to the offense? And you're like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. Sure, why not? And Blake Griffin just being terrible, like injured, struggling. They're just all over the place. But it's a weird team, man.
It's just
some
team.
weird stuff. What else on the Pistons? Yeah, I still can't get over like their big man array. Like now Cleveland's got tons of bigs, but like this Detroit array of bigs is like, what the hell is going on, man?
It's a very strange situation in Detroit. But I like Sekou. He's a good rookie last year. Looks like he's good in minute stretches. They've got Sadiq Bey. I'm not sold on Sadiq Bey yet. Kind of an early first round pick. Not quite sold on him yet, but it's early. It's early in the season. But Dwayne Casey needs to just fade into oblivion. He's a terrible coach.
Yeah, but man, part of me is like, what do you do with this array? Like, if he signed off on it, okay, yep, see ya. Like, fair enough. But if he's just like, what are you giving me here, man? Like, what is this? How am I meant to work with this?
Who pays Plumlee?
I know.
Who pays Plumlee? He got absolutely just destroyed by Embiid today. It was just hilarious. I think it was 3 fouls in 3 minutes, and he was like, "Ad, you're out of here." He's fouled out the last 4 games in a row. It's just anyway.
So looking at the over-under, you are over on 24 wins, and I'm under 23 and a half. So I'm looking pretty good for that.
You're looking very, very good.
Next team, the Timberwolves, Minnesota Timberwolves.
They've been disappointing, man. They've been really disappointing. I thought that obviously with Karl Anthony Towns, he's had some injuries and some COVID concerns, but I thought that that they wanted this team, like D'Angelo Russell wanted to team up with Cat and Malik Beasley's having a good run, but Anthony Edwards, obviously the number one pick.
Yeah, I'm a bit.
Yeah, I'm not
It feels a
sure.
bit Anthony Bennett-y. I think he's talented. I think he's got talent, and I think he will end up being a good player. But I look at some of these sort of 90s, 2000s teams as opposed to today. Like back in the 90s and 2000s, you could just get away with someone's gun. I don't care. Like I'm a first round pick, and even if I am like in a bad team, I'm just gun, and that's how you get your profile up. But now it's like I'm going to gun in this team, and then like you're still bad and you still look bad. And I can think there's like a spotlight on these players now, these rookie. Like if we redrafted this class, it's obviously going to look a little bit different.
Yeah,
But there's kind of nowhere to hide now, and it's
there is really nowhere to hide in this league anymore. And it's kind of like, well, if you're a top 10 pick, you're kind of thrown into a team and you're expected to perform. And none of the top 10 outside of LaMelo Ball and maybe the occasional James Wiseman have performed incredibly well.
I think there's been a few. We'll get to them, but there's been a few. We'll get to them as we go through. But I think on the flip side of that, there is also a very quick. Like everyone's really quick to write everyone off now. Oh, you're done. Yeah. 2 games in, you're out. No, I'm out on you.
Man, when we get to the Mavs, just some of the Josh Creed hate on the forums is hilarious. It's like, it's Rick Carlisle. You're playing a 6'5" guy at power forward. What are you doing? What are you doing? He's a wing shooting guard. He's playing power forward.
I've got that in my notes.
Anyway, that's it. But the Timberwolves, big, and Rubio.
I don't know. Like, really disappointing, though. I don't know. I thought they'd be bad.
I didn't. I honestly thought, okay, they've got some decent talent. They've got a little bit of bench depth.
I saw D'Angelo close up, man, and I was just like,
Yeah, I saw him in Brooklyn, and I faced him a lot of Brooklyn. Not a traditional point guard, more of that kind of scoring, ball dominant shooting guard. I don't think he's a really great facilitator of the ball. Zero defense.
None at all.
And that's the problem with this team. There's no defense on this team whatsoever. Rubio's production is just dive bombed.
But what are you going to really get from Rubio, though?
I thought you'd get at least 20 minutes of satisfactory backup point guard, some good dishes, and a bit of defense. And I don't know. I think he wanted to be there, and then he came in and was like, "Oh, no, I don't want to be here."
Well, yeah, I think he wanted to go home, type of the "all go home," quote unquote. But on that team, it's just like it's all over the place. So you're going back into a team where you're just like, oh, I'm back into a bad team. And, at least on the Jazz and the Suns, like there was a team around that player.
There was a purpose. This team is purposeless.
Yeah, it's bad. It's just straight up bad. So I'm looking at the Timberwolves 107 points 107 points per game and 115 points against. So they're not the worst defense. They are the 6th worst defense in the league. Yeah. We'll get to some bad. There's some bad defenses here, man. We'll get to those. But just looking at the over/under, I am still looking good for an under at 23. The Vegas line was 28.5. You're not looking good for an over at 30. Ooh. But I kind of thought that'd be bad, man. I don't like D'Angelo on a non-purpose team. Like, if you got no purpose for D'Angelo and you're putting him out there, it's kind of just going to be like, I'll just take over and do whatever I feel like. Similar to, like an Oubre situation where it's just like, you're not good enough to carry this team. You're not like a Devin Booker where you put him in a team with guys around him and go, but he's always going to be good because he's that kind of player. Whereas I feel like D'Angelo is kind of a discount Devin Booker, sort of discount Kuzma type player. Third last... Washington Wizards? Did we expect this? I don't know if we expected this.
I didn't think we expected this. And I heard a funny rumor that they're pretty much just off Westbrook. They're just like, yep. And because Westbrook's paid until 2023, I have a feeling that
he's trying to trade him again.
I don't know if they're going to try and trade him. I just think he'll probably finish the season. And if it's really that bad, they'll stretch waive him. I don't know, man. It's a big contract coming up. You're kind of hamstrung. Thomas Bryant out. They just signed Alex Len off waivers.
It's a bad signing, but that's interesting.
It's just a bad team, man.
It's bad. And I thought it was going to be good, man. I thought Russell's guaranteed 25 wins. And then he's been bad. Like, just taking threes again. You're just like, no, no, like
Yeah,
stop.
he's
Like now you're just taking threes again, and it's coincidentally bad again. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? But Rui, I don't know, Rui. I'm a little bit like, ooh, this is not the same player I saw playing against Australia, man.
no.
He's
I
gotten
think that
so big too. Like he's huge now.
It's too big.
Yeah.
I think that what happens is these guys get overly, overly strengthed up and
Mm.
just become injury prone. I liked him when he was that wispy kind of quick power forward that could shoot the three and kind of
He was almost like
cut
a
off.
guard before when he was playing for
Yeah.
Japan.
Yeah,
Now he looks like could almost be a small ball center. Like he's no, I'm not saying he's fat. Like I'm just saying he's a massive dude now, and he's almost got like a little bit slow.
Yep.
It's a bit of a worry.
Not a fan of this Washington. What do we have at
33 and 35 wins, both over. That's just like that's in the dumpster, I think.
Yeah, that one's in the dumpster. Okay,
Yeah, that's it's not good. Now we're moving on to the Houston Rockets. I kind of foresaw this Harden would leave.
Yeah, we knew they'd be trash.
Yeah.
Did I say they'd be trash?
No, you went 40 wins over, way over.
Jesus.
Well, but I think at the time, I think you were sort of saying like, if Harden stays, that might be good,
Yeah, I think I did say that if Harden stays, then they probably would get to 40 wins just out of the fact. But now he's gone. I mean, it's blown up, mate. If they get to 25 wins out of this 72 game season, they'll achieve something. In hindsight, Jayshawn Tate, interesting to watch. Obviously, ex-Sydney Kings, we're big Sydney Kings followers.
Shout out on the Kings dime.
Kevin Porter Jr. just getting thrown out of Cleveland for throwing food at the GM, and now he's at Houston. So that's going to be interesting. They've picked up a really good rookie for a future second round pick.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's got some mental health issues, but it might be one of those things. It could be a fresh start, get him out of Cleveland, and he might come good. You don't know. Maybe he's got some. That Cleveland team doesn't have a lot of stable leaders around, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not got like a guy like John Wall or DeMarcus Cousins can say, "Hey, young one, you're under my wing. Let's get you through." Well, what does Cleveland have? They got Kevin Love.
Yeah, it's like a way station team, This is a bunch of dudes that are like, yeah, we're at the way station, just playing some ball, man. It is though. But this Houston team, man, like, look at this. Like John Wall on 41 million. I think that peaks at like 46 million next year. Victor Oladipo, Eric Gordon just taking terrible shots still, and they're not going down now. Christian Wood I like, but I feel like he's still kind of a second tier big man that isn't gonna go into like orbit and be like a great player. He kind of feels a bit like Bagley-ish. PJ Tucker, who just clearly is just like, I can't play small ball center anymore because we're just getting roasted. House, Macklemore, Nwaba, Karooks, Kevin Porter Jr., Jamarcus Cousins, who, man, he looks good. But you watch him play, he's so slow. Like, he's just insanely slow and big and just does stupid stuff where you're just like, look, come on, man. What are you doing that for? Like, when he got ejected. And good, he was stepping into, like, to look after Jayshawn Tate, but at the same time, just like, dude, what are you doing? And they're after you, and then he just gets, like, flagrants and stuff, like, so easily.
It's pretty funny.
But yeah, I had them at under, so I'm looking at that. I don't know. I still think they might get towards 30 wins.
I think Oladipo was a good pickup. If Oladipo and Wall can kind of get back to some health, and look, they could get to 30 wins. This is a relatively, like, the other thing is this is a relatively new team, new coach, new gluing. It's going to take like very little preseason, a lot of disruption in the first 15 games. It's going to take probably halfway through the season. We could see a back end run from them once they start gelling.
And I think it's going to take a couple of seasons, but I think they've still got a few players on that team that are like, we thought we were going to win type players. We thought we were going to win here, and now it throws a little bit of uncertainty in there. I don't think, next year you're probably not going to bank on Cousins as your guy. You're probably going to want to shift off of him and probably shift off a Wall, really. And then you're kind of taking the gut. I know you can't, but like that's the way you're looking at it. You're not going like, we've got this team for 3 years, and in 3 years, we might have a playoff berth here. I still think like they got to retool and do a little bit more surgery on that roster. It's a bit, but what it is blowing it up. I like Silas as a coach, and I like him as a dude too. Like, I think he's a good guy, and if they actually invest in him over 5 years, I like that too. Like sometimes I like a franchise that just goes, we don't care if we're bad. Like we want to invest in this guy and have him rebuild it, even if it's bad. Like I hate teams that are just like, we thought you were going to be good, you're out. We thought you were going to be good, you're out. We thought you were going to be good, you're out. And then you're just like, it's been 4 years, guys. What are you fucking doing here? Like, you know what I mean?
What do you call it? The Sacramento coach that got the boot for
Jaeger, yeah. And
Dave
we're
Yeager's
on to
good.
Sacramento Kings right now. So yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is it time to say goodbye to Luke Walton?
Yeah, it is, man. He's terrible. What a terrible coach he is.
Terrible.
Oh, it's bad.
Whoa. It's coming out like Dustin Poirier here. Yeah, man. I don't know. I like Walton. I got a bit of connection to Walton, so I like him. But I don't like this Sacramento team. Like it's still fast and it's still really raw. And it's still like, you're just looking at this team going, yeah, you'll be good in a couple of years. But we were saying this 2 years ago.
You were saying this literally oh, yeah, this team. I mean, I'm now putting the point on De'Aaron Fox is just overrated.
I like him, but I think he's good. But I don't think I think he needs a bit of he needs cones around him, man. Like, don't step out of here. And you can't give him that because they paid him. He's the big man in Sacramento.
This is the problem, right? Is that you look at the teams that have won with, those good they've been a well-balanced. That team isn't well-balanced. And De'Aaron Fox is not a defensive guard. And the more you look at these teams that, they've got good defensive, it's built on defense. And the Kings defense is just woofed. Terrible.
It's bad. That's the worst. They have the worst offense and the worst defense.
Yeah, it's horrible. Horrible.
Sorry. No, the Wizards. My bad. The Wizards have
the worst defense. Yeah, but they've had the worst defense for like 5 years.
The Wizards have the worst defense and the best offense. It's most points per game and most points against per game.
It's always that. It's always like, remember last year? It was like, what the hell? It was Houston 160 to like 150. It was like, what is this game? And that's in regular time.
So no defense, all offense. But yeah, I like Fox Hield as a combo. The rest of that team, just feels like they're floundering around for some pieces, and De'Aaron Fox is just happy to be paid. And it's not like it's not going anywhere. It's not like we have a path to follow. We're going that way, and this is how we're going to get there. Still is a bit way stationy. Onto the hang on. We both had the under, so we're both looking fairly good for under under 27.5 wins.
Yep.
New Orleans Pelicans. Wow. Why are you so bad?
Yeah, most disappointing team, to be honest with you. I thought that, Zion's putting up 26 a night on good shooting numbers, defending well. Adams is playing. I just think that they've got to probably move off Lonzo Ball. I think they need to go to that give me the ball kind of point guard and not just a bit of, because he's really just a 3-and-D point guard, right? He can shoot a 3-ball a good clip. He's finishing around the rim is terrible. And he's a good defensive guard, but I think you need to get onto okay, this guy's going to score 30 points a night guard, because you got to pair that with Zion. You got to realize that Zion and Adams are good enough defensively that we don't need this defensive guard in our lineup. We need to get a guy who's going to score 25 points a night. And they don't have that. And so, some nights he'll score 8, some nights he'll score 15, some nights he'll score 20, whereas you need, every night 20 points. That's what they need.
I think you're right. They need a scoring point guard, like a Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball.
Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball at 1-2 combo is terrible. Who thought of that? That is, you could play Bledsoe at point guard effectively, but then you're going to need a kind of give me the ball shooting guard who's going to shoot, a Buddy Hield type shooting
Josh
guard.
Hart. Nah, it's so discount. It's Kuzma. It's discount Kuzma, isn't it?
Because you paid Ingram, who's good.
I like Ingram, but Ingram's a guy who you kind of go, Ingram's our guy. Let's invest in him, put guys around him, and then you're just like, we got Zion here, you got JJ here, you got Bledsoe, you got there's too much, and then Ingram's like, but I need to play like this. So I don't know. I really like Ingram. I like the way he plays too. And then you kind of I don't think anyone's really talking that much about you pair them with Stan Van Gundy, and it's a bit like, wow, this is all very 2010 here, Stan. I'm not sure how this is going to go in the 2020s, bro. This all feels a bit old. Yeah,
it feels a little bit outdated. It's you don't see JJ Redick getting any facilitation. He's kind of wasted in Stan's offense. there's no two-man game, and that's really where you're going to get him the best of JJ is in a two-man situation. Just quietly, I hope that like Philly sign him next year for Vedman.
Yeah,
Well, I
just
mean,
bring
although
him
they
in.
got some shooters, but like you know, he's perfect. He's just the perfect kind of knockdown shooter. So
Just
yeah, this
looking
is
at the where are they here? New Orleans Pelicans. They are giving up 111 points a game. That's not great defense. And then they're
no.
also scoring 108. So they're struggling a little bit. They're minus 3.5 difference. Just looking at our predictions, 31 and 32 wins. So we're both under 36.5. I think that's a pretty good under. I think we're pretty safe on that.
I was solid. I didn't think it would gel this year. I think needs a couple of years to kind of bake and gel.
Raptors struggling at 6-9, a really bad start to the season. Are they one of the worst flop to complain ratio teams in the league?
Yeah, with Lowry and Van Fleet, they do like to have a bit of a flop. Is Pascal Siakam just like the flash in the pan, man? He's just in hot and then gone.
I like him, but yeah, I feel like nobody wants to have that conversation. No one wants to go, yeah, he's just not that good. Like, he's good. Like, he's like Ingram, same thing. No one wants to go, nah, it doesn't work. You know, they just kind of keep trying it on. Like Lowry, Van Fleet, doesn't really work. Anunoby's been pretty good, but you look at the way they haven't, like Baines has struggled a little bit as well to get into that team. They've had Len on that team, and it's just like, it's a bit of a mess. But when you pair all of that with Siakam, you're just like, Siakam needs one thing in this team. And then you look at, like, you gauge it by how good the team is if they were to give all of that to him, and you're probably it's probably still an under 41 wins team.
It's
if
an
you
under
do that.
41. But the other problem is that they're playing away from home, so they
True.
don't even get a home court and a home meal. They're playing in Florida, so it's going to be a weird season for them. It's kind of like I think they're just turning up for the sake of turning up. I don't feel that real need to win. I don't feel that passion to win out of them.
Also, I saw a stat where I think they've lost close games. Like 6 of their games have been really close games. They've lost by a shot, basically.
Yeah.
You know, either a buzzer beater or like a last play that they could have won the game, which tells a story, I think, because I think they are a good team.
Yes.
But at the same time, I just hate the flopping and the complaining, man. They complain so much.
The other thing as well is that you've had 2 of the most influential bigs and a championship in Ibaka and Gasol. And Gasol's gotten old and his production's dropped, but when he first came, his production was quite high. It's a lot to take out of
that team, for sure.
Yeah, because Lowry's a crafty guard. Van Fleet can't defend to save his life. He's just getting paid. And so their defense has just become very open and very easy to exploit in certain periods of time.
Toronto Raptors are only giving up 108 points a game.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. That
meaningless.
Look, I think
but I know what you mean. I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, I just think in situations you can just switch and go on Lowry or Van Fleet.
Yeah, it doesn't, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like a run and gun. We outgun this team. You know, I think a couple of their games, like teams have had them beat, and then they've had a flurry or they've brought it back close, but at the same time, like they've been comfortable in beating this Toronto team, whereas it's a close game also type of thing. Yeah. Like I don't think they need to be beaten handily to sort of display what this team is.
It's like the day when Philly beat Detroit. You knew it was going to beat Detroit, but it was a close game. But it would never fairly feel like, it's going to, someone's just going to pick the ball up and put it in the net. So
I think Toronto had a good win over Miami yesterday as well.
Yeah, Miami have had really bad injury and COVID problems as well. So it's kind of like, well, that team has just fallen very far from grace.
Yeah,
but
that's
anyway.
right. We'll get there. Oklahoma City Thunder, 22.5 wins. I went over because I was like, I kind of like their team, man. I kind of like their team.
The team is good, man, for what it is and for what the picks that they have. This is the process. This is literally Philly a couple of years ago, except they've got better players than Philly did. They've got Horford, who's a good veteran center.
Horford, how good is Horford as a dude where you're just like, oh yeah, I forgot. Or like you just look down the couch and you pull out Horford and you're just like, oh yeah, Horford, yeah, sweet. Like
like Mike Muscala just shooting like 15 points a game. You're like, what the hell is this?
They've got a team that just is trying hard too, and they like it's coming off, and you're like, oh yeah, sweet. And they have like a bit of a low key kind of team that likes to hustle, and then this hustle's paying off for them. And Sam Presti must be sitting there just going, guys, like, what are you doing? Like, we've got to lose. What the hell?
Mate, they've got enough picks to see them through the next couple of years. I don't think they need to lose. I think they need to go out there and have a good time and keep their fans engaged. But no, I like this team. It's for what it is and where it is. It's good.
So they are 6-8 at the moment, and 22.5 wins was their Vegas odds. So it's looking decent for an over. It's actually also looking for and OKC just finally are like bad, and then they only win like 18, 19 games.
Probably a couple of injuries away from that.
Mm-hmm. Charlotte Hornets, 25.5 wins was their Vegas. LaMelo quietly just like made me eat my words. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
He's
with one caveat, this is not the same player that we saw at Illawarra.
No, it's definitely a more mature player, better shooting.
It's basically someone went, yeah, welcome to the fucking show. Here's the cones. Don't go outside them. He went, oh, yep, okay, yeah, sure, no worries. It's not like Illawarra where it was just like, bro, like you're going to the draft next year. Just shoot your shots, man.
Yeah.
And I think that skewed. I think that skewed the perception of him.
Yeah, I think that's obviously that. Yeah, he's on an NBA team now, third pick. He's going to toe the line. I don't think he's going to necessarily go out on his own and try and win the game. Sneakily, Gordon Hayward's been playing phenomenally well.
He's got something to prove, and I think he's got a good fit to that team. I think it wouldn't have mattered which team he went to if he played like this. Like, he's a guy that can just fit into a team in Hayward. Like, just like, all right, you're getting at the win, driving and getting a foul line jumper, or you're getting to the bucket, or you're facilitating, you're always going to play like a team player. Like, I think, he's been low-key really good. I
think Charlotte's still a ways from actually, knocking on anyone's door, but it's interesting to watch at times.
I think they've been a fun team to watch. They don't have good bigs.
No.
Biombo is hard to watch, man. He's all over the place. Just looking at their... Bridges just wants to dunk on everyone too. That's another one where you're like, bro, just chill out. Like, if you actually focused and chilled out a bit. And they got, Cody Zeller was the other one. I was thinking it was a bald guy, but I didn't know it was Cody Zeller. And then you're like, low tier bigs. That's kind of the bane of a lot of these teams at the moment. Yes, low tier bigs. We both had them at over. Wow. 31 wins. I had them, and you had them 32.
What are they sitting on?
They're 6-9 at the moment, and Vegas is at 25.5.
Okay, well, that could change.
I can see them winning around 25 games from here.
You probably, yeah, that's probably reasonable.
Chicago 7-9.
I've thought that they would be worse. Well, at times they've looked absolutely just dreadful, and then at times Zach LaVine's looked like an all-star, and you're like, and Kobe White's looked like a decent point guard, but. They
started out real bad.
Yeah, they did start out real bad.
So they lost 3 in a row, then they won 2, and they lost another, and then they lost another 3 in a row. And that's where you were just like, they're in a hole here, and that team looks like a team that's just like, you're in a hole, are you going to climb out? Nah, But quietly they've just kind of, rebounded. They had 3 wins on the bounce. You're right. It's when Zach LaVine's hot, they're good, and the team's functioning. They're all like, "Yeah, this is fun." But when he's struggling, I think, and he's kind of been hard to contain too. Some of these teams have struggled to contain him a little bit.
He's a great shooter. Like, he's really, if you're going to look at most improved over the years, just from going from like this kind of flagrant dunk dude, flare dunks, to being like, okay, like if he gets some two-wayness about him, he's going to be an elite player, and he will get a team to a championship one day, because his shooting is almost Klay Thompson-like. His ability to hit, consistently 3 to 5 threes a game, get to the cup, score at will.
He's got size too, which is good.
He's got size. His defensive thought process isn't quite there yet. But I mean,
I think it's team oriented. I think he would be looking at this team going, we're all terrible on defense. Like, I'm not trying.
Yeah.
And Billy Donovan's their coach as well. So I'd be looking at that team just going, yeah, Billy, sure, mate, sure thing. But yeah, we're looking both at under. I think that's pretty safe at the moment. It could
Yep.
change. I think 30.5 wins is a lot of wins.
Yeah, that's too many for them.
The Miami Heat 6-9.
Like I said, this has been very COVID related. Jimmy Butler's injured. Tyler Hero's been out. Duncan Robinson's been out. They've had to go deep into their bench. They've been under COVID protocols for many games. They lost 2 on a trot to Philly under COVID protocols. So it's kind of you haven't really seen this team yet.
Nah.
And you can't really gauge. You could gauge what they did last year, man. They took the Lakers deep into the playoffs, which was good. We haven't seen that this year, and they really didn't add any pieces either, and we've just been seeing way too much of 7-foot Amish dude Kelly Olynyk. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, way too much Kelly Olynyk. I like Precious Achiuwa though, and he looks pretty solid. Playing a little bit too much down low, where he got roasted a couple of times by Howard. He's been roasted a few times by some of the better bigs in the East. I also said on the preview, like, I feel like they're a team that they've blown all their cooldowns, and it's like we might see a down season from them. Like it took a lot out of them to get to that finals last year. Yeah, Jimmy Butler's been injured too.
Yeah, well, I think that they probably will still sneak into the top 8 in the East.
We still both went over though, 44.5. That's looking
less likely.
Yeah, not good unless they go on a crazy run. The New York Knicks.
Can we underreact, man? They look
good, man.
Good, yeah. This is the best Knicks team I've seen in 5 or 6 years.
I told you, Tibbs is going to make them play hard. Toppin just quietly looks pretty bad though. Yeah, he's struggling. Had a couple of injury issues, but he's just all over the place.
Emmanuel Quickly, it looks good, man. He looks good. Mitchell Robertson's starting to really, blossom. Reggie Bullock's having solid. Julius Randle just.
Yeah, what's this like point Randall come from? Like facilitator ball handler Randall. Like what? Where did that? Like who could have predicted that?
That's it's a bizarre. But look at they look like they're a team hungry, and they're not bad to watch. I actually enjoy watching the Knicks. Funnily enough, before they were just like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're excellent.
Yeah, solid. So their bigs are Randall. RJ Barrett has gotten massive as well. He even looks like he could play a little bit of small ball center as well. Nerlens Noel, Toppin, and then Mitchell Robertson. Like it's a solid crew of big guys that.
Yeah.
Okay, this year's probably a little early. Next year's probably still a little bit early, but the year after that, like I can see them going on a bit of a growth trajectory the next couple of years.
Yeah, if Thibodeau keep him.
The Tibbs, man, if he doesn't have a heart attack, dude, dude is just. He was playing I was watching that Warriors game, and he was just going off his nut. And you're like, dude, it's the Warriors, and you're up like 8, man. Like, chill the fuck out, dude. But I like this Knicks team. Low key, I think they're finally on a little bit of an upward trajectory. I feel like nobody's talking about them either. Like everyone's just kind of been a bit.
I think everyone's just like expecting the hot streak to just like and they're back to no wins in 20 games. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to keep level.
All the like, it's the Knicks has kind of just disappeared as well.
Yeah, it's just like, now we're going to take this seriously. We're not resting our bigs. This is going to be a tough game.
So yeah, I went over at 22.5. I'm looking all right for that. You went 19. You thought they were going to be terrible. Just got
I did.
Straight under the bus there.
Yeah, that's cool.
The Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, what the hell? They came out super hot. And now they're like super fun with all those trades. What the hell?
It's just like, let's have 8 bigs in our team and they'll play like...
They've just gone into orbit Philly style. So I'm just going to bring up their roster because they brought in Allen. They got Thon on... JaVale.
Allen.
Drummond just being like point Drummond. Like Drummond was like, give me the ball and put up 30 and 20 a night. Like, what the hell is that? Larry Nance as well has been playing really well. Larry Nance has been playing this role where he just goes to the foul line. He's just like, yeah, I'm just going to maypole and like spray passes everywhere. You're like, what is this? Chetty Osman has been playing really well.
Just quietly, how funny was that Brooklyn? James Harden is in Brooklyn and Kyrie's back, and they lost 2 in a row to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, and Cleveland were good in both those games, man.
Man, Colin Sexton, that 20 down the stretch. Oh my god! Like,
yeah,
this, all those people that said that Colin Sexton was terrible. It's like, okay, he's a bit of a strange player,
Mm.
but he can shoot and he
Yeah.
can play and he's a pure scorer. I was just like, okay, in a couple of years, obviously Garland's back from injury as well.
He's like a bit like Rose. Feel a bit Derrick Rose-ish.
He does feel a little bit less athletic.
Mm.
Derrick Rose back when he was younger was just supremely athletic. Less athletic, but just more of a pure shooter. Yeah, man, it was great to watch them just demolish Durant, Curry, and
That shot of them all just sitting there, just like low-key little playoffs hopes.
They could sneak in, and
they're currently sitting 6 with 8 and 7.
It's good, man. Like, I mean, it's a shame that Delhi's obviously still not getting. I mean, look, Delhi's is going to be there for shits and giggles, I think, at this point. But it's a shame Exum got traded to Houston. But low key, we got to talk about Exum here, and quick minute or two. I think his NBA days are just about over. Yeah, man, his body can't handle the being.
So that calf injury, right?
Yeah, it's just too many non-contact injuries. Is a worry. I think that he'll probably get paid this contract. He may get stretch waived, and it's going to be hard for him to get back on a team. He's played no games in the 6 years he's been in the league. It's just sad because he's a really talented dude, and I think that he can have a career, but I don't think that career includes playing 82 games a season.
I'm just going to look up how many games he's played total. 245 games in 7 years.
That's just nothing.
Yes, 7 years. Sorry, 6 years, because there's a couple of like double ups in the teams there. Yeah, man, 6/8 of 48, so it's half the amount of games. It's not none of the worst, but I think you're right.
For a guy that was highly drafted and then given a decent contract, 3 years, 44 mil.
Yeah, I think he's kind of unlucky that he took that money. No, that's not the right way to phrase it, but I think that value of what he's supposed to give in terms of what the injuries are having, the effect the injuries are having on him, I think he's struggling, like it's weighing him down a little bit.
Yeah, I think we probably, I hope post this some team picks him up for a vet min and he gets back just to playing some ball with no worries in the world. Like, okay, if you get injured, you're 2.6 million, you're not a salary cap burden, you're not at risk of getting stretch waived or just traded out and kind of waived. A team's going to pick you up and sign you for a couple of years at vet min. That would be very good because he's talented, man. We saw that in games. He's defensively long. It's just, I think the league has gotten a little bit past his basketball style of kind of long slasher, though. I think that it's more about that. If you're going to be, that kind of guard small forward, that you really need to be standing at kind of 3 and 9 o'clock and be able to hit shots, and then
and then play make and handle the ball, and not just necessarily slash to the rim. Like, you kind of got to be able to score now in a bunch of different ways. But yeah, moving on to the Grizzlies, 7-6.
Yeah, look, man, they're a decent young team. I don't think playoffs is going to be in their fortune, but
play in. I think they're in for a play. Yeah, I don't know. It's a strange team. Ja Morant got injured, and then like when they're good, they're really good. But then like they just lose games where you're like, that's so Memphis of the last few years, where you're just like, oh yeah, it's Memphis, and they lose games like this.
Yeah, they're young, and Valanciunas just tested positive, so he's in health and safety protocols.
No. Yeah, that's bad.
It just it is what it is. They're gonna take time, and probably 2 years away from a decent kind of stable Western playoffs position. But they'll get there. I think they've got the talent.
Yeah, both of us went way over to 30.5 wins is what they're looking at. I think they're good for about 30.5. We might just sneak the over on this.
Could do.
Mm-hmm.
Could do.
The Orlando Magic, 7-9. Magic just magicking along a little bit.
Just magicking. They're kind of just that stable 8th seed. It's a bit of a shame Markelle Fultz did the ACL, but Cole Anthony's kind of stepped into that position and played well. Hit a good game winner.
He's actually like a little draft steal.
Yeah, I think so. Especially because when you saw him in college, man, that dude was a pure hooper.
Mm.
Um,
And it's the perfect kind of situation for him. Like you never want to see anyone get a long term injury in Folds, but at the same time, like step in and do your thing, Rook. I think it's worked out really well for him and kind of the Magic as well.
definitely.
Hopefully to see how he goes. Heard anything about Mo Bamba?
No,
Whether he's going to be back
nothing.
anytime soon?
Nothing.
Mm. Still Gordon and Vucevic, and it's just magic-y, man. It's just take last year's Magic and just put it in this year's Magic. I went under on them, so we'll have to wait and see. I think they're probably worth about 28 to 30 wins. Their Vegas odds are at 31.5, so interesting. The Atlanta Hawks is currently 8-7 with a Vegas line of 36.5. We both went under. Trae Young out the gate was just like, oh my God, 3,000% usage. Wow. And then we've heard all these stories of just like, man, I ain't playing with this guy. Fuck this guy. It's just like,
I just think he thinks he's the next Steph Curry with worse hair. That dude's hair is hilarious. It's theoretical hair. It's just theoretical. It's not even hair. It looks like spray paint. It's fucked.
It's fucked. Nah, it's a weird team too, man. It's still also is like we need to win now, and then also we're 2 years away type of team.
He's got to get his usage down and get more other guys. I think Bogdanovic got injured.
Yeah, he did actually. Yeah, he's out until March, I think.
Yes, that was
which kind of hurts.
Great.
It's like they're a downhill team. When it's good, it's really good, and they play hard, and it's like, yeah, this is all great. And then it's like, oosh, take a punch, and then it's like, yeah, we got nothing, boys. I don't think we're gonna be coming back from this one, type of thing, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they've got no heartlage.
So they might have to build on some of that. They lost to the Jazz, the Blazers. They beat Philly. That was a bit of a weird win. Philly was kind of under strength, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like losing to the Hornets, Knicks, Cavs, Nets. You know, you're like these losses where you're just like, what? But they're still top of their division. So okay, sure. See how they go. We're on for 36.5. I still think at this stage is still a little bit high.
Yeah, 33, 32.
We're both still on for the under here.
Cool.
Maybe you were saying?
Maybe. Yeah.
Now our favorite team to talk about, the Dallas Mavericks.
Fucking Rick Carlisle.
Oh, Rick Carlisle. Fuck, he's killing me with Josh Green. Started today.
He started at power forward the last 3 games. Just like, this dude is not a power forward. Play him at small forward or shooting guard. He is a perimeter 3-and-D with a bit of slash. Stop. You know, I've been watching. It's such shit basketball to watch.
It's hard, dude. I was watching
Luka
it.
Doncic. It's Luka Doncic, who isn't really the most athletic guard in the world, and he's just kind of slow-mo Luka. He's gotten too big as well. Like you see him in Europe, he's a bit leaner and a bit quicker, but he was just like, okay, I'm put on 20 pounds and just like lumber to the thing and throw up a little this and like, all right, I'm not even going for the rim. I'm just going for the foul. Like,
he dives a fair bit too, which hurts. It's hard to watch too. He's diving, so the flopping is a little bit much. Does it feel like he's playing too, like he's your 2K guy? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, my career, he's the my career guy. So you're just like, get out, everyone get out of my way. I'm doing everything. And then you end up taking like 40 shots because you're playing 2K and you want to win. You're always behind, you know, and that's how it feels, man. It's like I'm watching a game of my career with him. He just does everything. And it's like, I'm out on it. I'm like, can't watch this.
Unless he gets to the point where he is the facilitator, kind of lower usage.
I don't think it's ever going to happen, but.
No, it's not. I think it's just, you know.
They're giving him the key to the city on these performances. Like, you know what I mean?
It's just not.
Yeah, I'm on the edge of just being like, yeah, I'm out. I'm like at the door, just like about to touch the handle, like getting there. Yeah, I'm out. See you guys. Have a good one.
He'll be an amazing statistical player without actually. His defense is pretty bad too.
It's a bit all over the place. We're gonna look at them as a team. Just hang on. And how bad is Willie Cauley-Stein? Every time I see him on the floor, I'm just like, why is he playing? What the hell?
Especially when you got Boban. Like Boban can shoot, and is
Boban's a little bit of a like, why is he playing? Player as well.
Do we not want to just see Boban versus Taco in the paint?
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. And you are high on these 7'6" guys.
It's
These
just, it's just
7'6" just
freak
mutants.
ball,
Yeah.
It's just mad. I love
So
it. I love it.
freak show basketball. They are currently 20th. No, what's that? That's 10th in points allowed. That's pretty good. It's a good defense. It's a hard team to watch, dude. I'm like I said, I'm halfway out the door on that team, having to watch that. Denver Nuggets. We were 42.5 as the over. They're currently a 500 team. I don't know. That's in jeopardy, man. I don't think they're going to
They didn't have Kristaps for the most of the part of the first part of the season. I think they're missing.
They had him today, though.
Yeah, they're missing a click, and I just don't think they're playing Josh Green in the right position. But anyway, that's for my mind.
No, they had him in the last game. He didn't play. Yeah, right knee rehab. He played against, I think it was the Magic or someone they played the other day that I watched. Yeah, so Denver, like Junior Murray, Jamal Murray, just like, Jamal, where'd you go? Like, where's that bubble Jamal gone?
Yeah, it's like bubble. Yeah, bubble Miami, bubble Jamal.
Where's it gone? What the hell?
Jokic is quite clearly is just Magic Johnson.
He's just outrageous. He's just fantastic to watch too. I'm in on him, watching him, man. Like, I'm just like, holy shit. And he's strong, dude. Like, sometimes where guys will just think he's unassuming, they'll try and go up against him, and he'll just like whoop, and then like he'll beat them with skill, and then still give them like a get out of my way. And then you're just like, whoa, you even threw in the physicality shit. His passing is ridiculous, man. Sometimes he'll just find guys where you're like, you can see him on the court because you're watching from the stands. Yeah. But you're just like, how the hell did he know that guy was there? Unless he was just like, I hope that guy's there, and tossed it to him. Like, nuts. But I feel like they've lost a couple of little bits in their team. Like, a little bit of their hustle's gone, man.
Yeah, I think Jeremy Grant was a loss. Even though he got the keys to Detroit, I think that he was a loss offensively for this team.
I kind of think Plumlee is a little bit too, because in that role where he's not starting and where he's coming off the bench and playing 10 minutes, and he can, just become chaos, and they're just like, whoa, out of the game. Like,
yeah, I think that they do lack that backup center, but I also don't think they've given much of Bol Bol a run. I think Bol Bol can.
He played against the Warriors. He was fucking good against the Warriors, man. Yeah. And Wiseman dunked all over him. And I was just like, I don't care. I just love the fact that he went up and tried to block that, man. Like, he didn't just go, I followed over. You know what I mean? I got dunked on, but I fell over and I tried to flop, But looking at their team, like Millsap, you kind of, man, they need an upgrade on Millsap. Yeah. And then Porter Jr. has been a little bit injured, a little bit hit and miss. And a couple of their other guys, they're kind of missing. If Millsap was a 24-year-old hustle guy and then Millsap was the bench guy. If Millsap was supplementing a 24-year-old hustle dude at the level of Grant, then they'd be a much better team. But
yeah, I think Millsap's probably just a little bit too old for this team. Need to chuck Bol in there or someone else that can play some power forward minutes and kind of align that defensively.
The Nuggets at 44.5, we both went over 48 and 46 wins. That's in jeopardy. That's looking bad.
Just slightly. They're usually a good regular season team, but strange.
Lost a little bit of that hustle. All right, we'll move to the Spurs. 8-8.
Doing
Spurs,
what Pop does.
Spurs, man. Just Spurs. A little resurrection, little Lazarus.
They've got a good team, man. And their team, DeRozan's been average, but Lonnie Walker's been good. Patty Mills has just been absolutely phenomenal. He is the best basketball player at this point that we've ever produced in terms of a career. Like, he's just, mate, fine wine, just keeps getting better with age. Some of the shooting nights he has are just absolutely absurd.
His profile fits who he is too, and what his stature is in the league. I just don't think his, like, the credit he gets from the wider community of basketball, especially in Australia, he doesn't get the respect he deserves.
He should be revered as like one of the greatest Australian sports people to ever play. You know what I mean? Like, phenomenal. It's just what he's done. I mean, he's championship caliber, but what he's done for this team in the last couple of years when they've really been going through a bit of a, unstable rebuild post Ginobili, post Timmy Duncan and Tony Parker. It's just it's phenomenal, and mate, he's so good to watch and so fun to watch. His game is almost identical to Seth Curry. When you look, when you look at what Seth Curry does at Philly, you look at Patty Mills, it's identical. And Patty Mills doesn't have the 7-foot bigs and the 6'11" point muted to come round off screens off and get open shots. Like he's got to do it on his own and can create his own shot off the dribble. And defensively, he's not going to be great. He tries hard, but he's not going to be great. He's only 6'1". He's always going to be a little bit mismatched. But so is Seth Curry. So
he tries hard too.
He tries hard. Yeah, and that's fine. But just phenomenal play. Great to watch. I love watching the Spurs. Actually, the other day I had Philly on the phone. I had Spurs on the SBS. I was like, I'm in heaven.
Who was Spurs playing? Was that the Warriors game?
No, it was the Mavericks game.
Mavs, yeah. Did they beat the Mavs in that game?
I don't think so.
Let me just check that, because I wanna do a bit on their bigs. They lost to the Mavs and the Warriors, so they're on a 2-game slide at the moment after being on a 2-game win streak. Their bigs, right, are a tier below, and I feel like DeRozan's also a tier below in scoring, and that's kind of where they sit. Like they're they're still ringing that combo out. Like Rudy Gay, you're just like that's it for him. I think he's really struggling. But at the same time, like they're good enough to ring out something here where they might sneak a little playoff berth. LaMarcus as well has just looked like he got run ragged in that Warriors game. Feels like any time they come up against a team that plays like, oh sweet, we're not going to be physical tonight. So okay, cool, let's have a basketball game. Like they don't have the power to outshoot the other team. They kind of get run over a little bit. The Warriors
they can put up ridiculous points, and then they're just like, they've put up 70, and you're like, how did they put up 130 the 2 nights before? You know what it is? They're feast or famine. LaMarcus Aldridge has always been feast or famine, though. Becoming that J.R. Smith kind of player. I thought DeRozan wasn't that guy, but this year he seemed to be that guy. I thought he was always the 20 points a night guy, but this year he's not been as productive.
Yeah, so we had him they're 29.5 for Vegas. That's looking low. We both had it over, so conservative overs there. Yeah, it's looking good.
Yep.
I think 29.5 30 wins is going to get them pretty close to the playoffs. The Golden State Warriors, they are terrible. They're a bad team, man. I don't care. Dre and Curry, they're great players, but they're a bad team.
Draymond Green has been exposed for exactly what Draymond is. He is the glue for the other players which are way better than him. He's just the glue guy. He's the glue guy that can defend. Like he's a superior defender, can defend 1 through 5, can facilitate, but his scoring is just abysmal. Like it's not a basketball player. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like he's just become Dennis Rodman that can't rebound.
He's also in a phase at the moment where he will just go like, I'll have a crack, boys. Whereas I prefer Draymond, where it's just like, I'm worried about this scoring slump. I'm going to do other things. Well, that's I think the real underrated aspect of him is where he starts playmaking off of those like guys leaving him. Like he'll step in and playmake. A couple of times he's done it this season. I feel like he's struggling too. He had COVID as well. He's for fitness. Like he was throwing some punches. Like it's like the 3rd round at the moment for him, and he's just like struggling. Like he's like throwing the. He got ejected for yelling at his own teammate the other night.
They did come up to Kerr afterwards and said, yeah, we probably shouldn't have ejected him. He was like, yeah, he was talking to his own teammate, you idiot.
Yeah, and then the rest are just like, I think the organization was like, he's going to like apologize or do anything? Like, no. It's just like, okay, sure. But he gets the most, we're going to go to the monitor for that. And you're like, that was nothing. Like, what was that? And they go to the monitor and they're like, flagrant. And you're like, what? How is that a flagrant? And then you go and watch these other games where dudes are just like elbowing people and we don't even look at it. And you go back on the replay and you're like, whoa, probably should have looked at that. Whereas him, every time it's like straight to the monitor, even if it's like a 50-50. But they're bad, man. They're a bad team, even with how good Curry's been playing and Draymond. But Wiseman, I think he can be really good, but I don't think he's in the right setup for the type of personality he has, which is, I want to try and fit this team, but at the same time, the standard is too high for his level of personality. Like he's a very like, I fucked up a few times, boys, sorry, I'm going to be really mopey now. And it's just like, bro, you're in your first year. Like really, there shouldn't be any pressure, but there is pressure.
I think there is pressure because of how badly they did last year. I
Mm,
also think that this team has never been centered around a center as being any more than
mm,
what, Andrew Bogut could do, which was provide a bit of a
mm.
dunk here or there, a little bit at the
Yeah.
rim, and some facilitation. Whereas I think Wiseman will become that potential triple threat center. And I don't think Kerr knows what to do with that
No, I
because
think and I don't think the players do either. Half of them don't
no,
know how to throw lobs to him. And you're
no.
like,
And
how hard is it to just lob it to a guy who can catch it above the square and dunk it? Like, what the hell are we doing, you
yeah,
guys?
it's they've not used to the athleticism and the ability of
Mm,
that center. It'll take them a year to get into it.
yeah, for
And
sure.
I think that's
The
part of
the
it. The other
pieces
part of it
around don't really work. Yeah,
the other
keep going.
part of it is that when you've got someone who just doesn't score, when we know this with
Mm,
Ben Simmons, you can sag right off Draymond Green,
mm,
and it clogs the lane for Wiseman,
mm,
and he's not able to get what should be some pretty easy one-on-one post moves. He's now having to come around and play against two guys in a clogged lane.
mm.
So it's kind of like, well, he's not stepping out and taking threes, and he's not really getting into the paint because they're sagging off Draymond. So it's exactly the Philly situation with Ben Simmons. The only difference being there is that Embiid has mid-range game coming out of his ears, so it's kind of a
Mm,
different
mm.
setup. But last year you saw what it was; it was just clogged, and so when you have too much in the way, and Oubre does clog things up a bit,
Yeah,
trying to always
Oubre's just been bad. Like, Oubre's a guy that will just get loose balls and just be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to drive into three dudes and try and spike it. And he's like, what are you
yeah,
doing, man? Like, and then I tried to spike it. I got blocked. The ball like rebounded to the floor. I picked it up again and I'm just going to go up over the same three guys and try and dunk it again. He's like, what are you fucking doing, dude? And then like the amount of trash talk he does too.
it's hilarious.
It's like, bro, like you've been terrible this year. Like, how are you trash talking people, man? Like against the no, it was against the Lakers. Like three times the ball went out and he did like the first down. And I'm just like, what are you doing, man? In a game, I think they were down like 20 and he did it. And I'm like, what are you fucking doing here? But yeah, I think they're bad. I don't think they're even going to get to 37 wins, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I think they might just limp into the playoffs. Curry, they're going to beat the real bad teams when they come up against some of the better teams. They are going to go like, oh, they lost pretty handily against the Clippers. Oh, then they beat the Clippers. Oh, they beat the Lakers. What the hell? Oh, they just got smashed by the Jazz. Like, I think they're just going to lose games pretty handy, and that's going to be their downfall. But it's a pretty realistic scenario. But James Wiseman, man, off of like one dribble or one step from about 7 feet, it's just a dunk every time. But the spacing doesn't allow for that. It's like Curry, you got to set these weird off screens and these rubs for Curry. And it's just, he's going to take a while to kind of get used to it. I think if he was like in his third year, there might be, a much better chance of getting, fourth or fifth seed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, we both took the under. I think that's a pretty handy under. Phoenix Suns.
Disappointing.
8-7. Disappointing.
Yeah, I thought they would be better. I thought that this team would be gelled a bit more. Obviously, Booker being a bit injured, but it's been wavy. I think Chris Paul managed to take a pretty rubbish team to almost the promised land. And I think he's got a better team in Phoenix. And I just don't think it's been quite the ride that I thought it would be. But it's still early, still gelling. Not much of an off season, not much of a preseason.
So Chris Paul, I don't think fits with Booker. I'm just going to lay that out there. I don't think he fits with him. I think Rubio worked well last year because even though he was taking a lot of shots, he also got out of the way. Like Chris Paul is I'm in your way offense guy. Like, I don't care if I'm in your way. I'm going to do this anyway because like he's at that high level in terms of his pedigree, his leadership and who he is as a player, I think gets in the way of Booker. He's going to have to learn how to get different types of shots. He's not getting those comfortable shots he was getting last year where you're just like, damn it, like he's got one step at the elbow, no one's around him, he could just rise up and shoot this and score. And the other thing too is like CP3 is playing really well with Ayton. Yeah. And that janks him up as well too. Like you're just like, yeah, just stand to the side there while I just run a few pick and rolls with Ayton here. And Ayton's been good, man. Like he's looked I think he might be most like candidate for most improved too. He's been fantastic this year. And I think it just clogs what Booker does up, and it is what it is. You can't necessarily go
You just got to work it out. I think.
Yeah.
There's something in there that's worth it, but you just got to work it out. I think they'll definitely make the playoffs. There's
Mm.
no doubt about that. It's just whether they go for a deep run and get easily beaten by either the Lakers or Clippers.
Yeah, I don't know if they're probably like a first round exit type team. Do you reckon?
Maybe second round.
Second round? I don't know, man. I don't know if they've got the same thing as what OKC had last year. You know, I don't think they've got the grit that OKC had. They kind of do, I guess. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good shout. They might like sneak a second round. But yeah, I don't like it, man. I don't like it. CP3 just gets in the way, man. And it's the same thing as Rubio. So he's obviously a way better player than Rubio, and it's just like just get everyone out of the way and get Booker just cooking. I don't care if he takes like 30 shots a game. Who cares? He's usually like, a 50% scorer. He's gonna hit fucking 15 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So we both went under. I think that's pretty safe. I think around 38 wins is probably their ceiling.
Yeah, so.
Portland, Nurkic broken hand, CJ broken foot.
Yeah, that'll swiftly come back down to earth.
Yeah. Were they really flying 8-6?
Yeah, I think for what I thought they would be, then yeah, but
yeah, I suppose they're fourth in the East at the moment.
Yeah,
first and fourth in the East, fourth in the West. Watching them though, they're just a bit. I don't know what it is. Terry Stotts is such a good, meticulous coach though too, and I like Terry Stotts.
I think they'll struggle while Nurkic is out, more so than McCollum. I think scoring is easy to pick up. You can play Anthony in there and just get a pure scorer, but I think Nurkic just brings that all around, like a bit of mongrel. Because Lillard is a terrible defender. He can score in spouts. Lillard,
quietly, Nurkic flops a lot.
He does, but so does Embiid. So what do you want?
Yeah, I know, but
it's just the way of the world, mate.
Portland, 114 points per game. Opposition points, 115. So, -1.
They're always high scoring games against Portland. It's a shootout. It's always what it is.
So we had them both of the under 41.5 wins.
I think that's safe. I think that's safe.
It's going to go close, but I think I still like my under on that. I think, about 39, 40 wins is about the ceiling for them at the moment. The Celtics, Vegas had them at 45.5. They started so hot. They looked so good. I was like, wow, this Nurkic, this Tatum Brown combo, damn. Like this.
Yeah, I mean, Tatum's been out with COVID for 5 games now. I think they'll bounce back. They'll definitely be top 3 in the East. Brown looks so good, man. He's just gotten ridiculous. Tristan Thompson, Daniel Tice, still, if they can somehow pinch Drummond, I think that team would just be elevated. I mean, I'm not high on Drummond as a player, but I think in a Brad Stevens outfit where they can maybe get someone that can go up against a lot of bigs.
Interesting.
Tristan Thompson's kind of good, but then he doesn't add anything offensively, whereas Drummond can kind of play a little bit better around the rim. And,
that's an interesting shout, actually.
Yeah, I think if they can somehow get Drummond there, with their obviously got a big player exemption as well in Hayward, then, potentially, if not a Drummond, like a Jarrett Allen. I think Jarrett
Allen would be good, man.
Really well on the Celtics. Because he doesn't take away, doesn't need a lot, but he's a great rim protector and can get to the dunk spot and, muscle up big dudes. He plays well against Embiid. Because really, what you got to get is a dude that's going to play against Giannis and Embiid. That's all you need in the East, right?
Like, and Boston have already shown that their setup can beat Giannis.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to be lots of some big dudes. Like last year, who'd they have as their big man? I mean, the year before, was it?
Brad
Tice. Yeah. Wanamaker is a point guard. He's on the Warriors. Quietly.
Not Wanamaker. Who is it?
Terrible. Ogley?
Yeah, Samuel. Robert Williams. Sorry,
Time Lord. Great nickname. But this Celtics, they feel like a FIBA-y team. Like it's small ball, but not really small ball. And
I think when Tatum's now 6'11".
Yeah, he's a beast, but man, he was so hot, like so good. And then I don't know how this COVID's going to affect him. That's a big blow.
Young enough. I think he's just waiting to get test negative, to be honest with you. Like Seth Curry hasn't missed a beat.
Yeah, fair enough.
Tested positive, he's back, he's shooting. I think that, for a lot of these young guys that are taking all the supplements and in good health, I think COVID's, it's a bad cold.
Shout out to the old vitamin D.
That's it, mate. Get on it. Get on it.
We both had under, so yeah, looking not too bad. I think 45 wins. If that's their ceiling, then yeah, that's a fantastic season for them. The Brooklyn Nets. Now that they have Harden, how does that look to you?
Like a fucking hot mess.
Yeah, but it's a
just
hot
gonna
mess though.
explode.
Like it's gonna be hot.
I don't think so. I really don't, and I just think I think Kevin Durant fits with either or, but
Yeah,
I don't think Harden and Kyrie work together at all.
it's weird looking, eh? It's weird, but it's weird good. Like in terms of them winning games.
I think they gave up the wrong center, man. I think if Allen had stayed, I think that that would have been
Much better.
much
DeAndre looks bad, dude. Like I
terrible.
don't know how someone that big and imposing and quick can be bad. I don't understand it. I watch him and he misses rotations. He misses like guys cutting. He misses
Just
guys getting to
FYI,
the rim, and I'm like,
that was a Kyrie and Durant request.
yeah, that's his buddies, so that's why he's still there. But I watch him and I'm just like, how are you bad? Like you have every single physical tool. What the hell? Like to me, it doesn't make sense that he was not as good as Allen because he's bigger, stronger, more experienced, a better rim runner, better finisher.
Man. Jared Allen has the best throw in the league, and it's that
just throw, man. He needs to get the throw out. He needs to get rid of those cornrows and get the throw going.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But it's a weird team. I'm going to have to wait like 10, 15 games of this Harden thing. Because even Harden is like, I'm just going to chill over here, boys. And they're like, dude, like get over here and do this and this. He's like, yeah, no, I'm good. And he makes 2 drives and he's just gassed for 3 plays as well. He's got to like recover his fitness and stuff. It's that first game, like, but he's still just knocking down shots. Yeah. And you're just like, what a phenomenon, man. Like just to be in that bad a shape and still just be like, yeah, whatever, swish. It's like, what the hell is this? This is nuts. But I don't know, like physically, like fit wise, I don't know. Like it doesn't really look like it's gonna work. Durant works. Kyrie, I feel like works when he's engaged and he's focused, and probably lacks a little bit on the defensive end. But then with Harden, I don't know. It's just a bit like, oh, I got to see this work before I'm like, okay, yeah, it works. Yeah,
no, I'm not of the opinion that it's going to work.
So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I went over on 45.5. Nah, I don't know. I don't think that's gonna hit.
No,
that's gonna. But now we're on to the Bucks.
Disappointing start to the season.
Yeah,
I think they're just working it out, man. I think Bledsoe was a good regular season point guard, and I think Drew Holiday is a great point guard. I just think they're working their shit out. They'll come good. That's all really.
They will. I think they've lost a little bit though in Lopez, the other Lopez, and
backup. Yeah,
bringing in Forbes. Forbes has been a little bit like, this isn't what I paid for. Like this is like China Forbes turned up in a box, and it's just like this isn't Bryn Forbes. What the hell is this? No. And I still feel like are we in the is Giannis really that good territory yet? Like, are we ready to go? I don't think he's that good.
I think he is good. I just think that teams will. His style of play is the same. So I think that teams learn to get better at defending him and learn to neutralize the threat more effectively. And then I think that's when,
I just like he's a guy that you're always sitting there going, well, if he develops this weapon, like he's going to be great. And then,
but he's been shooting threes. He's shooting threes at relatively good clips.
Yeah.
His mid-range is okay.
Yeah.
He's round the rim. I think what the problem is that most of his points are coming in transition, and in the half court is where he struggles when they start collapsing. He hasn't got that half court one-on-one mid-range game like Embiid does, and I think that's really the benchmark this year so far. Man, Embiid's just been phenomenal.
Bobby Portis struggled a little bit too. Yeah, I don't know. And that Giannis Middleton thing is just a bit like, is it Giannis? Is it Middleton? Is it who are we going to here? And if one's going to be on the court, then both of them got to be on the court. And it's just, I don't know. I still feel like we're like a season away from having that. Man, is Giannis really that good? Like that's going to be like First Take all over First Take.
Yeah.
Giannis isn't really that good. Like he's not good. And we got to all admit it. Like, I feel like that's where we're heading, man, with this. And it's not like Giannis proved to everyone, that he can win a championship because he signed the contract and he's there for good.
Yeah.
Or maybe he'll leave on a sign and trade type scenario, not necessarily sign and trade, but now that he's locked in, he might be able to be moved. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still a bit not good. I don't know about this, man.
Yeah.
We are both sitting at over. You had 60 wins. That is in jeopardy.
Yeah, that's definitely in jeopardy.
You need another 51 wins.
All right, keep talking. My dog is sprawling to get out.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you let him out. The next team we've got is the Utah Jazz, who this is good for a solo cameo for me to talk about the Jazz because I was out on the Jazz this year. I was like, no, you've burned me 2 seasons in a row. I've had enough of watching this. But then Mike Conley and Gobert come back, and it's just like, okay, now Gobert's like taking his step back. He's doing the things he needs to do, and he's not, getting in the way of things. And now Mike Conley's just like, oh, I know how to use this guy. You just do this, 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 and this. And he's put it together, had a little bit more time to work it out with him. And now they're starting to look a lot better. Like the off-ball guys are getting a lot more looks. And, Bogdanovic is playing a lot better. Just having a look at some of their guys. But the main thing really is that Gobert, Conley. So we're onto the Jazz now, and he's back.
Oh, so much good basketball and one injury away from it just completely falling it apart.
I was saying that I was out. I'd had enough at the start of the season. I'm out. I don't want to know. Like, I'm out. I've had enough. 2 seasons is enough. I don't want, it's disappointing. Don't want to see it. And then you watch him in the first few games this year, and it's just like, oh yeah, Mike Conley just needed to work out how to play with Rudy Gobert and space the floor properly and actually know where to be. And then Donovan Mitchell was just like, oh yeah, if I just stand off ball over here, sweet. Like, I actually fit now. Yeah. And then you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what they needed to work out. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Whereas at the start of the year, I was just like, all these things need to go right. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, Mike Conley looks terrible. And then, that one thing clicks and you're just like, oh yeah, that's all they needed to work out.
Yeah, I just think that it's just one injury away from all falling apart.
And that's also true. But they've got some good off-ball guys.
Yeah, they do. Bogdanovic is good.
Donovan Mitchell, if he, he's been a little bit less on the ball this season, and I like that.
Need to, yeah. Well, he's got more way of scoring options. I think in the bubble, it just needed to be give me the ball.
Yeah. And I think for who they were last year and the last 2 years, I think that's fine. He's a second, third year player. That's fine. But now, once, you put the Conley Gobert, they've worked it out scenario into play, you're just like, oh, yeah, now they're if you move him off ball, you've got some more off ball weapons. And even Joe Ingles, who started the season terrible, shooting 50% over the last 5 games ish. He was shooting the ball, I think, at about 20% to start the year. And now I think in the last few games, he's shooting at about 52%. So he's looked way better. And it's freeing him up off ball, I think. Yeah, because he can always just go, oh, you need me to run a few sets with Gobert? Yeah, sure, no worries. And there was a point in time where it kind of got a little bit too much, like, Joe, enough sets. Stop with the sets, bro. And now I think we're at a better balance. And I'm kind of I'm a little bit back on the train. I'm running off after the train, hold on, wait. I've got a ticket.
Wait for Ben.
Philly. Both of us went under on the Utah Jazz, and the Utah, I think, might win around 50 games. So it's not looking good for us. Philly 76ers. What do you got for me?
Embiid is looking like he should be MVP.
I like that, man. I hope he gets MVP. I kind of like that.
It's been a good few games to watch. The spacings there. Danny Green has been excellent, I think, on this team. I think it works. Seth Curry's been a breath of fresh air. You picked up Shake Milton, who has had bombs of games. You've got probably the best defensive bench player in the league, and Matisse Thybulle, easily the best defensive bench player in the league, Matisse Thybulle. You just got little pieces that you can utilize, which you just didn't have last year. And Tobias Harris is playing well because people are getting out of his way when he wants to, and there's not Josh Richardson or Horford just standing somewhere in the way of everyone.
Yeah, they fixed the spacing.
And that's all you need. And Ben Simmons is just defensively.
He's so good, man. Every time I watch him, You just watch him. Someone's bring the ball up court. You just know every game he has this steal where he just is like, and just takes the ball, and you're just like, oh my god, he does that every game. Like, how do people not just understand? Like, don't just loosely dribble the ball around him. Like, it's nuts, man.
He's phenomenal.
I'm still a bit like, damn, like the way they kind of were just about to get off him too. I'm still a bit like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like hearing some of those, like reading some of those stories where they were just like, and pack your shit because you're basically about to go.
That was Morey. I think Doc Rivers didn't want Harden at all from the wash up of it all. I think
Morey.
I think he was just adamant on getting James Harden to Philly. And then you look at this team, and it's kind of like James Harden wouldn't have fit that well. I think.
I think he would have fit better than the Rockets. Than the Nets.
You change the team to get everyone out of the way for Ben Simmons to facilitate, and then you bring on a guy who's just going to score. Doesn't work. You know what I mean? I think that this team works really well.
Yeah, Harden and Embiid though.
Me like this team.
Yeah, you like this team. You're 100% in. Happy.
I mean, I'm happy.
For me to just be like, man, Doc Rivers don't know about this, and then just be like, oh yeah, he just was like, he's like chemistry guy, and they're all just having fun, and he spaced the floor properly. He's just like, you there, you here. Now is this fun? Yeah, it's pretty fun, and they're winning games. So I think that's worked out pretty well. Hey.
Cali.
Aussie's taken over the Greyhound racing track. Or is it Cali? Border Force. And then the two LA teams will just round it up by saying the Clippers are just clipping along nicely and the Lakers are just laking along nicely.
I think so.
What do you reckon about the Clippers?
They're good. They're
Paul George, you're just like, damn. Paul George, prove it to everyone tour.
Where's playoff Paul George? He's gone missing.
I know, it's not playoffs yet. It's all right. We got it. We're driving to the playoffs, and he's like in the car, he's picking out all the right songs in the car, and he's I'll shout Macca's on the way, and then you get to the playoffs, you get there and he's like, you've forgotten the tickets, you can't get into the venue, it's like, it's awful, but we're still driving at the moment, we're still going along. They look way better than last year, but they fixed their issues with their bigs and their rotation, and a lot of their hustle is less like actual desperation scrapping and more it actually fits what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And Kawhi, every time Kawhi, you're just like, you're not having this like contested fading going slightly to your right. You can barely see the basket and it's just like, and you're just like, stop that, man. Like, stop eating these ridiculous shots. And then the Lakers are better than last year.
I don't think so.
I think it's a bit, that's one where we could overreact and just go, I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it at the moment, but it's LeBron.
It is.
It's AD.
And you can tell they're both just coasting. They're just like, do not get injured. Do not do anything stupid to put you out for the season. Let's use this as our preseason. And they're still 13-4. And I like Schroeder because I feel like Schroeder's playing like he's got something to prove.
Yeah, he's playing for a contract.
And that type of Schroeder is probably the best type of Schroeder.
Yeah.
And then they already had like a decent array of kind of peripheral guys. KCP, they paid him, and he's like, yeah, I'm happy to come off the bench. And Kuzma has something to prove, and Kuzma was kind of playing really well, and then he's kind of dipped a little bit. And then, they'll probably be the 1 and 2 in the West.
I dare say so. I'd say that's what you'll see in the Western Conference Finals is what we should have seen last year.
Yep, and now we should finish it up because we've been going for an hour and 20. So it was 30 and 80. So as always, like and subscribe. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Podcast Addict, SoundCloud. We are on Apple Podcasts and Podcast Addict also, and we'll probably be back. When do you reckon we'll be back? Next week? This week?
Sometime. Yeah, this week.
To do just another sort of games, talk about Aussies and stuff like that. This has been interesting to have a look at. We'll probably do another one a little bit later in the season, about 30-ish games.
Indeed.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.